Welcome to the Path to Wellbeing podcast, where we are manifesting a wellbeing center in Switzerland. My name is Quentin. I'm part of the project team of the Wellbeing Center and today's host. Today, we're talking about how we can bring well-being into the corporate or business world. And today's guest is an IBMer. He's been focusing on helping people to grow for the past 15 years, probably longer, but like really focusing for the past 15 years. And he's the founder of CityMonk and Project Transformation. Amit, Sidhpura, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on.
Of course. So I want to start straight up with a question for you. Why is well-being, and when we're talking about well-being, we're also kind of referring to like the mental health stuff. Why is well-being important to you? Like, why do you care about it?
So I guess this is one thing that I was just thinking about a few minutes ago, right? So well-being, let's turn it around, being well. It's all about being well, right? So we're so good at knowing other aspects of our life, more practical aspects, right? You know, when you drive a car, what's the best way of driving a car? What's the most efficient way of driving a car? And then just turn it back to yourself. So what's the most efficient way of living a life? The best life. And this is what, you know, I was always a very inquisitive person. And that was one thing I always thought about is how do I learn more about myself? And I guess that's what well-being means to me. How do you understand yourself better than we think we know others? Or we can say, I know my friend, I know this person, I know that person. We know these things about them, which are all opinion based. Yeah. But factually, how do I know more about myself? And that is just beautiful. Nice. Becoming your best friend.
Why do you think that's important?
I guess if you know yourself better and if you understand yourself, then everything after that has an explanation, or there's some kind of logical purpose or a flow to it, right? So if I think about it, if there's someone who annoys me or something that annoys me, okay, that annoys me, then how do I find out what it is? It's very easy for me to blame you, the surrounding, but then I'm not really moving or growing in any way because I'm always blaming someone. And one thing that I really love doing, I love patterns. As a strategy leader, I really love patterns. So I love having an interaction with someone and then saying, this person made me feel this way. Okay, cool. I completely blank your face out, but just what you said, how I was able to, you know, how it felt when you shared whatever information with me, and then just digging deeper in why did that happen, or even just being aware of it. It's almost like, so when you work in an environment where you spend so much time with clients or with anyone, you know, outside facing, we understand what their business challenge is. Then by understanding that, we then come up with a solution. But we've never done that with our own life. So we just go through life, or many of us can go through life just blaming someone, blaming a situation. But we're never really being empowered out of that. And this is what I always love to say to people, is it's like when someone does something that annoys you, it's beautiful because it's an opportunity for you to be liberated from that problem.
Yeah, nice. I think it's fascinating how we tend to like analyze other people or think we know why they're doing stuff. And I just think it's fascinating because honestly, I don't fully understand how I operate. Like, how is Quentin? I don't know. I'm just experiencing it. And it's funny that as people, we say like, yeah, I know that person. I know he's going to react that way. And I'm like, I don't even know how I work. How would I ever like just assume how another person is going to react or be? And it's just fascinating. I think that's very, very...
And it's just endless opinion-based stories from the mind. So they'll do this, they'll do this, they'll do this, they'll do that.
And then if they do this, then I do that.
And it's just kind of... We hated like algebra equations at school, but every single time we get into that, if this happens, this will happen, this will happen, this will happen, this will happen.
So if my mom reacts that way, then I already have like this pattern that I'm going to do this and this and this, and then she reacts the other way and you're like, oh, wow.
You're almost surprised. That was it.
Yeah, nice. Very nice. I want to talk about your journey a little bit more. So I'm just going to start with the pretty open question, like, are you being well? And has it always been that way? Or what's your journey?
100% no. So I guess that's more of the importance behind it. And I guess that's where the passion comes from. Because you'll see that, again, going back to understanding yourself. So we grow up in a very conditioned way. We grow up depending on the culture, community you're born into, or your surrounding or whatever, do this. Then you kind of do that. I was a naughty child, so people always tell me, do this, do that, do that. You keep doing that. You go into school, you do this. Actually not naughty. I take that back. I was more playful or inquisitive, right? In that nature. So, and then you go through, and high school is the same, right? Do this to become more popular, or it's kind of the way you perceive things, or this is what popular people do. This is how the cool kids hang out. And all of this conditioning leaves an impression. Then you go into the world of work, and then you look at someone, you're like, wow, this is what success looks like. Or happiness, because that's what we're always trying to chase. We just want to be happy. So we mask it in different ways, right? And then you go off on this little tangent. So you follow people. He looks happy. She looks happy. Oh, okay, I'm going to kind of mirror this. And you do that. You follow the same kind of, life pattern as them based on what you do for a profession, blah, blah. And then eventually you get there, and then you realize I worked so hard to get here, and none of this really matters. I still don't feel happy. That satisfaction piece was always missing. And this was the interesting thing. So you just do things. So I've been very fortunate to work in different parts of the world, work for different organizations. And as I've traveled a lot, there was always something that really felt like it was missing, right? You can do as much as you want. You can put all your work, all your effort into it, but that satisfaction was never there. And that quench for doing something different was always there. And it was always temporary. Looking back, it was always a temporary fix of happiness, which is, everyone does that.
Yeah.
And you just get tired of running, and it just drains you. And then you just realize I was really fortunate again, that thing that I was missing, or that thing that I always wanted, was that connection with myself. And the minute you get that connection with yourself, you realize that everything that you were looking for in the world, you've got it within you. Everyone says that. We hear it so many times. You hear it in books, you go to sessions, and motivational speakers will tell you that. And you're like, you've got everything inside you. So people had said that, but it became my experience. And then I was like, ooh, actually, yeah, I do have everything inside me. And it's a really, really nice feeling, because then you start feeling complete. You're not looking at other people to fill a void. I'm lonely, so I need to be around more people. You can be around more people and still be lonely. But you do all of these things.
I think that's what a lot of people are experiencing.
And this is, it's so beautiful. And it's just that connection with yourself. Then you start to understand yourself better, right? And as you understand yourself better, you can then give yourself the things you would like, which goes back to meaning and goes back to purpose. So you do things which are more orientated to yourself, right? And that just brings you happiness. And when you get into that, it's a very, very different perspective to life.
Beautiful. I want to talk a little bit about the corporate environment. We don't have to fix it on IBM or anything. It's like more you're moving in the field of corporate businesses, and from the perspective of our Wellbeing project, it would be interesting to hear about your point of view on what's happening out there. So in the corporate environment in general, how are people doing in regards to mental health and well-being? Just your personal perception.
So okay, based on my personal perception, they're struggling, right? So what we've seen in the past is when we didn't have that connection with ourselves, we were able to connect to the world around us, and the world around us was more stable. Now what you're seeing is that there's an explosion of emotions and thoughts that we've suppressed. So that's happening within us. And at the same time, the world is in a little bit of a disruption. So both of them are in imbalance, right? And you're seeing that's really impacting people, that disruption outside, because what you've seen over a period of time is we've been so lucky that everything has worked the way it should do. Go to an airport, you book a holiday, you fly at that time. Now it's almost, you turn up to the airport, if you fly, it's luck. You're lucky to fly, right? Yeah. But that level of rigidness that we had is really being tested, right? And as we're looking for temporary happiness, because it's almost going back to what I had experienced, right? That when things became a bit too much and you're always trying to run, it's nice to run away and go to a new place. Now, these running opportunities are really shortening down for people. So, we've never been prepared for this. And this is what I always share with people that I have conversations with is don't be so hard on yourself. We went to school and learned how to, we learned how to invest in Bitcoins, but we have no idea about our thoughts and emotions. And it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's thoughts and emotions. It's basically the most practical day-to-day, essence of your life. And we've got absolutely no idea.
Everywhere you go, you can't go anywhere without bringing
that. Yeah.
yourself there. Yeah.
So we know all of these other things apart from that. So this is what's happening is, right? It's because we've never really been taught that. We only do what we know practically, and that practically is work harder, get your next promotion, get involved in more projects, things like that. Keep suppressing things. So it's that's what you're seeing within the work environment. It's having a toll on people. COVID really opened it up, where you're starting to see people are starting to pay more attention to that. But what you're still seeing is it's almost like well-being, mental health. Mental health is like, when you're kind of broken, do this thing, or when you're feeling sad, do this. Well-being is it's almost seen as a nice to have. And when I talk to people, I say just turn it around. It's just to do with like quality of life. You can have everything around you and be unhappy, but don't you want to know why you're unhappy then? It's almost your birthright just to investigate that little piece, which is really good fun. We've explored the world, but then we're like, well, thoughts and emotions. Well, who cares about that? So it's just these very, very small things. And you can start to see that all of this stuff is starting to have a toll on people now. So we need to slowly introduce this into organizations. There needs to be an appetite in organizations where they're open for this type of things. What you're seeing is even within organizations, when they do these things, like the employees are too busy to go and spend time in these places. And this is, as I always again share with people, it's a vocational skill. It's a very much a fundamental part of being an employee at work is just knowing about yourself. Being a human being, probably. Yeah, as a human being. That's it. Before
we go into, I want to definitely talk about like what can corporations, what can businesses do for their employees. Maybe let's take a step back and focus on the human beings for a second. Like what needs to happen in those times where everything around us is changing very quickly and disrupting. What's in general in your opinion the solution to all of this? Like as a human being, what can I do? What can I change? How can I change so that I am okay or even enjoying those times?
I think one thing is that you need to be open and willing that you'd like to change. That's one thing, right? And then what you'll see is that you'll start to get that help. We've got these internal energies within us. And once we're open to change, those things will slowly start to be powered up. That's one. And then just be open to help. There's people around us willing to help us, but we're not willing to share with them what we would like or what we would like to work on. And a lot of that is because we don't have that connection with ourselves. So we're annoyed, but we don't know what we're annoyed with or who, but we're just annoyed. So it's just that, just spend some time with yourself and just try to kind of consciously just go through what are the things that you're losing energy on and what are the things you'd really like to change.
I think it's also very important in that process to be like almost brutally honest with yourself, because it's very easy to say like, blame the outside world again. My boss is doing this wrong, so I have to compensate that somehow, so it's okay to go on another vacation or whatever.
Yeah. Well, even, that's the beautiful thing that you just said is that honesty. That's really important. Like only when you're honest with yourself, then you know what you really need to work on, right? And this thing is very, very important. So what you'll see again through our conditioning, we're so used to wearing, and I love using this analogy of Jim Carrey when he did The Mask. It was one of my favorite movies growing up as a child, right? And what you generally see is that we've become so conditioned at wearing certain masks and costumes that even we no longer know that we're not even on the set anymore. So we're not on the set, we're just in normal life, but that conditioning is still there. So we're out of a habit. How are you doing? Great, thanks. But you're not really doing great, thanks. And this is what you'll see is just be honest with yourself. And everything starts from there. Once you're honest with yourself, then through that honesty, you'll be able to see what are the things you would like to change or work on. And then through that, you just be empowered. And it's not like huge strides or steps, just tiny little steps. That, someone does this and I get annoyed by it every single day. Okay, well, just look at what it causes within you and just be conscious of that aspect. And then you just see you go into that conversation or that interaction with a slightly different hat on that day. So two things going back to your question is one is being honest to yourself. I think that's the one thing that we need to do is really kind of put down these masks that we're wearing, put these costumes down, and really just be honest with ourselves. What are the things that I would like to change and work on? Just be empowered, because that exercise yourself is so beautiful. Sit down with yourself. What are the things that I would like to change? You don't need to share this with anyone else. Or you can have this conversation by yourself. It's your life. It's your opportunity to change that if you would like to do that. And it's a beautiful time right now to change, because everyone is asking things about meaning and purpose, right? And the other one is just having faith in the process of what's going on within your life, or having faith in something higher. Because what we will always see is that, look, there's things within our control and there's things outside of our control. We always focus on all of the things outside of our control. This person, that situation, all of these things. And we can stay up day and night, talk about it. This podcast can last for days. But what you'll see is every single aspect is outside of our control. There's nothing we can do. But it still has a toll and annoys us. And just connect to something higher. Whatever you believe in, nature, light, anything higher. Just believe in whatever you follow or believe in, and just ask for help in that situation. At least you're able to express your perspective, and it just makes you feel lighter, right? As that lightness happens, you're able to focus on all those things in your control. And when you start to do that, those are just those steps that you need. And just get courage to walk forward. And that changes your life, those two things. And I always share that with people, is every single aspect or situation in your life, just give it those two perspectives. What's in your control, what's outside of your control. And that's it. And all we're doing is, when we talk about that, so you want to understand yourself, because with that, you want to use that knowledge as empowerment. And that's it. And this becomes really, really beautiful then, because in every aspect you become empowered. You're not blaming someone else and then just feeling that it's outside of your control. But there is aspects within your control. Just focus on that and just keep walking forward. And just, it will slowly help you dust yourself down, and then just move forward for kind of the next interaction or the next experience that's meant to happen.
I think at the end of the day, it's really about being natural, right? And I think it's not what you're saying here is not the quick fix people are looking for, but it's probably, also in my experience, it's how it's happening. Like there is no big thing that you do it once and then you're done for life and you're good and happy and you will never be affected by anything. If any, like I've not seen anything like that, but that's I agree with what you said. Let's focus a little bit more on, okay, what can we as businesses, as corporations do to, let's say, empower our employees, or like, what can we do for their well-being?
I think it's this, what we're talking about is, again, knowledge not generally shared. So it's incorporating this something into like the day-to-day work. Again, whenever we're talking about it, we're saying your natural self, we're talking about empowerment. These are all the things that you need to be good at what you'd like to do in life, right? Or whatever your purpose and meaning is. So it's creating that environment or that space where people are allowed to be given that experience to connect to themselves. And I talk about experience more than knowledge, is because we've got so many help books, more than we've ever. 3 methods of this, 3 methods of that. Let me look at, this table. Let me look at this diagram. All great. But we have no experience behind it. So it's just words on a piece of paper. So it would be great for organizations to be open to create that type of environment where people can come in and actually experience those things. Meditation is obviously one. It's been around for a long, long time. Then that's a way. But just giving people that opportunity and try and make it, or even, that would be one. And I know certain employers do that. IBM does that, right, as well. But if I turn it around, it's almost like from an employee perspective, how do people, because these sessions are there, some people join, some people don't because they're too busy. So it's even like the ones which are really busy, you just need something day to day that helps you sync with yourself. So if your employer is not giving you that opportunity, or your work schedule is too busy, the onus is on you then. Just do that. It's almost like when we come home, the iPhone automatically, whatever phone you have, automatically just connects to Wi-Fi and starts to sync and back everything up. So what are you doing? What are we doing day to day to have that opportunity to sync with ourselves? How did I feel today? What were my thoughts like? What were my emotions like? And then just slowly use that as a way to, okay, like maybe I should have a look at this, or maybe I should have a look at that. Because your thoughts and emotions are just notifications like we get on WhatsApp, right? They're just reminders.
Yeah.
They're reminding ourselves of things that we ran away from, things that we suppress, things that which are difficult and we don't want to face them. They're just reminders of that. So again, I told you I love patterns. When you start paying attention to that, you slowly start to see patterns. And then it gives you the opportunity to uncover that pattern. And by being conscious of something today, it's life-changing tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's just literally that simple. And you just do that day by day. It's almost like when you learn how to read, you do things day by day. When you do a new class at work, or you're upskilling the way you develop yourself, you do things day by day. And you just need to do that. But that's being done internally. And what you see again, which is really beautiful, is anything that happens internally is a reflection of your outer life. And again, we always try to change the things from an external perspective. How about trying to change it from an internal perspective? And it becomes very, very beautiful as you do it more consciously. So what you're seeing is people that are more open towards growth and development, they know these kinds of things. But everyone should be aware of that. It's just about knowing yourself better so you can use that insight and understanding to basically change aspects of your life that you don't like.
I think it's also funny that sometimes when you talk to people about those topics, they're like, I don't know, it's nothing for me. And I'm like, how is yourself not a topic that's relevant to you? It's like almost mind-blowing to me.
And I think this is the funny aspect, right? It's we don't feel we have time for it. And it goes back again when you talk about well-being and mental health. It's kind of mental health is, you've got something broken, so you need to fix yourself. And well-being is almost nice to have.
Yeah, it's almost wellness.
Yeah. So it's so it's
but
almost
it's not what we're talking about here when we say well-being.
Exactly.
But that's what people hear.
But it's almost that. It's that, like you said, you're a human being. Don't you want to understand how being a human being works? That's literally it.
No, not interested.
Because even if I go back, like we buy a car, you would look at the car. You want to know about the car. Exactly. You buy a camera, an iPhone, whatever you buy, you always look at the specs.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know what the specs mean.
Yeah.
you still look at it because it's a normal practical thing that we do. So we do it with everything else.
Yeah, it's funny. I wanna stay at like what can we as businesses do, or people working in businesses do.
So going back to that, it's organizations need to foster an opportunity or create this type of environments where employees have this opportunity.
Why is
to
it not
connect to
happening
themselves.
today yet?
I think it's happening, but on a smaller scale. It's what you're saying. It's like some people are like, oh, that's not for me. So if you think about, meditation or some of these other techniques have been around for thousands of years, people almost think that I don't need that. It's for other people. And this is what you see. So even when I do meditation classes for leaders and for entrepreneurs, what I always share with people is that it's great for you to sit in this chair and join me for a meditation. I love it. It's amazing. We can spend 15 minutes together. It will be probably the best 15 minutes of your life. But it's almost like you're not going to leave with it changing your life, right? So let me rephrase that, right? So when you sit down and do a meditation, that meditation should be an opportunity for you to connect yourself, for you to understand yourself better. And then go back into the world and make that correction or that empowerment that you'd like to do. It's not about saying, hey, my life is stressed, so I'm going to meditate, because that's not going to help.
No.
It's not going to help the situation because you're stressed because of a reason. But it's beautiful if you find out why you're stressed and what the reason is, and then go and change it.
Yeah.
And this is what I always tell people. So some people may be pacifying or looking at these aspects around well-being, mental health, that it's nice to have, and it's for people that have more time or people that are passive. But it's the complete opposite. If you want to be really successful or impactful in life, even happy, these are going to be the essence of it, right? So this situation is causing a disturbance within me around that. Okay, check that. Be aware of it, then go back out and correct it. And it's fun because it almost becomes a game of just, I test something, I see the results, I come back in, I explore, I change it, I tweak it, and then I go forward.
Exploring, how am I?
Yeah.
What am I?
It's the journey of yourself, and it's one of the most beautiful journeys or voyages you'd ever get a chance to experience. It's almost our birthright to be able to experience that.
I want to stay at what is hindering us today from
So I think one of them is that, like, people think it's more passive, so they're not, or they have a conditioning about it, so they're not really open to it, or they're not even being open to experiencing that. That's one. And then the other one is so that's more from an empowerment perspective of the person. And then the other one is organizations creating this opportunity, fostering these opportunities where people have these opportunities and experiences to connect to themselves.
I think businesses fail to build those environments because maybe also the leaders within that organization have never experienced it themselves. So, I mean, I can tell you, go to that workshop and experience whatever, some stress relief or I don't know, whatever. But if me as a leader, I've never experienced what it's like to actually be well, then that's probably, I'm not going to be able to create an environment where also the employees or the rest of the team is going to feel well. Yeah.
And this is, again, I guess that's kind of the answer as well, is it's everyone should do this. It's nothing more than, again, it's that toothbrush moment. We wake up, we brush our teeth. As children, our parents would have chased us to make sure, did you brush your teeth, right? And what you'll see is over time, as adults, we've become so good at brushing our teeth. We can look at what the weather is. We can pick our clothes. We can make coffee. So it's almost like doing that. It's that habit. So our life has become so busy in a way that we've created it. We don't have any moments during that time to connect to ourselves. So at the beginning, it's almost like a habit we need to try and get into our agenda. And it's a very important habit. It's just like brushing your teeth, right? And that's what we need to keep doing is just creating those types of moments where we're able to have that sync with ourselves. At the beginning, you need to create. So organizations, wherever, might create that opportunity for you. If they don't, then what are you doing for it, for you to do that yourself? And at the beginning, it's almost setting a reminder, setting an alert, putting it in your agenda or your calendar, and just slowly start that way. And then just use that as a way to build on that. And that's what you need to do is what we're seeing is that by spending that time with ourselves, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes a day, it's saving us so much more in terms of doing manual work, right? And when I say manual work, it's because we're trying to correct things that we don't understand why we're trying to correct or what's happening. So if we blame people or a situation, all of our focus is being spent on blaming others. If we took that time back, right, and then just said, okay, I'm just going to spend 5 or 10 minutes with myself, do a meditation, go for a walk, be conscious, just close my eyes, just connect to myself, seeing how am I doing, and then using that, that information to then be empowered. Then you save that time back.
So like we just spoke about that, how important it is also for leaders to have that experience of really connecting to themselves. I also think it's easier said than done than to just say like take 5 minutes of the day and then you'll be fine. I mean, I tried it a couple of years back and I never got to the point where I really felt connected with myself, and therefore it was really good for me to go to a retreat where I like really experienced that connection with myself, and then like the routines got way easier because I've experienced them. Like once I've really experienced what it feels like to be synced or connected to myself, and then it's way easier to like go back to that experience. Other than like if I had never experienced that before, I was always struggling to like really get it. I was trying to watch my breath for 10 minutes. Okay, I did not feel anything. But I actually did that for a long time. But then like once I had experienced that just one time, I had to experience what does it feel like to really be connected to myself. Then every time, or most of the times I do meditate in like the everyday routines, I actually get to that experience of syncing, being connected with myself. And I think this is so crucial especially for leaders, because they're rippling out in the world, like, and I also want to quickly share also what the Wellbeing Center that we're trying to build with Path to Wellbeing is about, because in the essence, it's really about that. It's about creating an environment where people, if they have mental challenges, great, we can help, but also if they don't and they want to just experience to be connected with themselves, that's really what we want to like. We want to build an environment where they can come to that Wellbeing Center in Switzerland and they get that experience of really being connected to themselves, to slowing down, and then they can go back into normal life with that experience of, okay, well, what does it really feel like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I think it's as you summarize that, it brings some thoughts as well. And one is around, go to someone that can help you. This is the most important thing. It's going back to your meditation story, because it made me laugh and reflect back when I was a child. I closed my eyes and it was so loud inside.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm just going to keep my eyes open. It's easier for me just to keep doing this. And this is, you can just relate back to people that might have tried that. And this is the most important thing is go to someone that can help you meditate or can show you how these things should be done. So go to someone that's really authentic, that can really help you. And then again, this comes back to, if you're open, you'll slowly find those people. They'll come into your life. Well, you'll find an advert on Facebook or LinkedIn, and you can follow that. But just slowly be open for that. And the reason why I always say that is that you can use being able to do any form of meditation. There's certain steps that need to be done. It's almost like when we go in for an operation, or when your car goes in for a service. We go to an expert because they know what they're doing. So we rely on them. And this is almost what we need to do in this case, right? And almost what we'll do is again, when we look back at mental health and well-being, people need to understand that the body is just like a pressure cooker. So you just need to, every so often, check the temperature, check the pressure gauge, right? Because it's a very, very slippery slope to being okay and not being okay. And the body will send you all these warnings, like we talked about, all these notifications. But if you're not paying attention to that, all of a sudden there's going to be a burst. So one thing that I would always share with people is not to add fear, but just keep a pulse on, how's the pressure doing? How am I doing today? And if you need that little bit of pressure, that help removing that pressure, then seek help. There's loads of people around that can help you, where you can be in an environment where they can help you slowly take that pressure out. And that's not going to be the same as a holiday. Because you're consciously, a holiday is running away from what's happening within you, right? And even while you're on the beach or drinking a drink or
when
whatever
I'm
you're doing,
there, then I'm happy.
all those things are still happening. It just waits for you to land back. The minute you land on tarmac and you're like, welcome home, boom, everything's back again, right? This is just being in an environment consciously that I would like to work on myself. I want to understand myself better. Okay, while I'm doing this, these things keep popping up. And these things that keep popping up are causing a little bit of a challenge and causing a little bit of pain in my life. Can you please help me? That's it.
I think it's also interesting. Like, it's not only about like taking the pressure out and being okay, or at least that's my perspective. Like, I want to enjoy life. I want to be here, do cool stuff, and just really have fun in life. And I also think like that checking in is even more important, also, or is just as important, also, not only from moving away from pain to being okay, but also from being okay to actually like
enjoy
or
being happy.
And I think it's because at the end of the day, for me, it's all about like, I just want to be natural, and like when I just behave natural, when I'm just really authentically myself, I don't even know how I am. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just enjoying. And that's like the beauty of when you're really in connection with yourself. You're not questioning, should I do it? Should I not do it? I feel like doing it. I do it. And I feel great doing it. Maybe the people around me are like confused. Why is he doing that? But I think like just to underline that point of how important it is to really feel that connection to yourself, not only from moving away from pain, but also to like just really enjoy life.
Exactly.
Nice.
No, that's a really important point as well, and it'll help you, right? So as you clear these things up that are causing you these pains internally, or these problems or these challenges, then you move into that connection, which is everything that we look for. So we talk about mindfulness. Everything that you do, it's almost, mindfulness is just reminding you you're human. Because empathy, love, happiness, these are just normal traits as a human being. It's like going up to a dog and then saying, I'm going to teach this dog how to bark. It's just what it naturally does. And as human beings, we have these normal natural traits. When you connect to them, it becomes beautiful. You become like a child. And it's almost what you're saying is then you enjoy yourself in a way that you don't even know what you're doing, but you're just happy. Like, that's amazing. And that's just, you can do that. In this life, in this world, right now, you can just be happy for the sake of being happy and just enjoy any experiences or any aspect of your life. And this is what we really want to share and bring to the world, this type of message.
Awesome. This is awesome. This almost feels like an ending, but I think I actually want to talk also maybe a little bit about like oftentimes I feel like when businesses are like struggling or their employees have struggles, they're often like there are some, how can I say, some offers out there that feels like a quick fix or something. Maybe from your perspective, do you have any experiences of what businesses try to do and if it works for their employees or not?
I guess so. You're seeing a lot of organizations moving to app-based approaches. But again, it's what you're seeing is that people want that social interaction. That aspect is important. So again, one thing that I would always say is that if there's certain things that you would like as part of your life, if it's not available at work, then try and seek or get that yourself. Is what we would always do, right? There's certain benefits you get as part of work. If those benefits aren't sufficient enough, then you can go and get your own. And this is what I would always tell people, is just be empowered. If you have something that you would like to take advantage of, take full advantage of it. And if there's something there that you don't feel you have, then speak to your organizations to see if that's something that they would allow. And if not, then just try and get it yourself.
Nice.
But that's what you're seeing is a lot of, I guess, organizations are still moving to that more app-based things.
I also like what we just talked about in the essence was like, okay, so what's really important is that we help people really connect to themselves, like express very simply. That's probably what it's about. And I just feel like when we develop another app or another, like it almost feels like a distraction to me. It's like, we should connect to ourselves. Maybe we know that, maybe we don't, but let's just do the easy quick fix. Take this app.
But this is really interesting. Even while you're talking, because I was thinking about this, it's almost like what you generally see, right? So you go to school, or whenever you'd go to school, a teacher teaches you something. And then once you have that baseline of information, then you can go away and do some of the other things. What's generally missing is that baseline of information. Because that baseline of information is missing, we're almost doing these other things and the impact of these other things are not there. And I think this is what people just need to then be aware of, right? So like you can download, I don't know, whatever kind of app that might come to your mind. But if you don't have that information or the background behind how it works, then you're going to lose the impact of that particular app. And I think this is what people then need to be aware of as well. So if you've got access to something and you need some pre-information, then try and seek that pre-information. And if you don't get it at work, then try and get it outside. But just use this opportunity, as we talked about, this current time is very important and it's designed for us to get in connection with ourselves.
Beautiful. I have a concluding, do you say that? Concluding question? Do you have any specific recommendations for businesses to promote the well-being at work?
Any particular, say that again? What was the question?
Just like any specific recommendations.
Recommendations.
Yes, what should they do at work as employers?
That's a good one. That would be the solution.
What would be the solution?
The world's solution. I'm trying to think what
probably
that would be. So a solution. Oh, sorry. You said, what was it?
What's like? Do you have any specific recommendations you can give like business leaders to help build an environment where people are being well at
I think so.
work?
Great question. Let's take it back to the leader. Is the onus should be on the person that you've experienced what you're sharing with others. That's really important. So it's almost what you're saying, right? Within a business, if we're talking about performance, you are the benchmark for that performance. So people are always going to look at you and see you are that benchmark for that particular essence or aspect. And I guess if we look at, being well, then it's almost like you are the poster child of being well. So how can you share, be open and honest with like what you're going through and working on yourself. So then out of your experiences, you're able to share that with others. And I think that would really help change the world around.
leaders experience well-being yourself.
Yeah. Just being open, because there's a lot of stress on leaders, a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
You know,
For sure.
Again, we're just all, again, outside of work, we're just all normal human beings, right? So all of them would want to be empowered in life. All of them probably have certain thoughts and emotions that they can't understand, certain aspects about themselves which they can't accept. All of these things are a great way for people to work on. Again, we're only doing all of this just to help people feel happy, be peaceful, and then genuinely grow in life. And that's it. So I think it needs to be, right now, depending on which organization you're in or what industry you're in, it's more of a bottom-up approach. And what I feel is it needs to be in addition to what's happening, it needs to be a top-down approach, where it's not just being done for the sake of a tick list that, we do these fancy things, but I'm actually eating my own apple pie. I'm living and breathing these situations, I'm living and breathing these things, and I'm sharing it back with others.
Amit, it has been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for
thanks
your
for having me
time.
on. Thank you so much.
It was good. For the people listening or watching, feel free to subscribe to stay up to date, and see you in the next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.